Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, and we are back for another episode of Bricks and Beyond, a creator showcase series. For those of you that may be joining for the very first time, Bricks and Beyond is a showcase series that highlights members of the Lego community. Each episode gives you a personalized look into the person behind the account. First of all, sorry for the delay. A lot going on. This is Brick World Week. Our guest is actually joining us from Brick World. You may know him as Cool Han Luke. Let me get him in here because he is going to give us a live look at what is going on here. I hope we connect. What is up, brother? How are you?
How's it going?
It's going. I'm just going to put this out there. I set you up for failure because you literally just came in to Chicago today on your flight to Brick World. And a couple weeks ago, I had this brilliant idea that I reached out to you and I said, hey, let's go live when you get to Brick World. And I'm just like, we can do this and that. And here you are, not knowing anything about what you'd be doing, where you'd be going, and you're just like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. Look, obviously, hello and welcome to everybody who's watching. And look, appreciate the opportunity to be on the show.
yes,
Been an admirer of the show since I joined the community, and
I
everything he
appreciate that.
does for the community echoes the exact thing that I want to do. And I'm sure it's not a new concept to be a community leader, if you like, but definitely something that kind of pulls on my heartstrings. And but yeah, so great to be on the show.
Thank
But yes, I think I'm very good at blagging things, right? And what I mean by that is I'm very good at kind of just turning up and being like, right, make the best out of the situation, because it's what I've always done. That's been like my job. It always works for me. When I plan things, they go pear-shaped. But I honestly thought, no matter what happens, we'll work it out. And I thought, we're landing at 8 o'clock. That's 6 hours for me to get food, get settled, get sorted, see the boys, catch up, and then I can settle down, do this show. Great. That didn't happen at all. Complete disaster. But the good news is we're reporting live.
This is
everybody.
amazing.
We're reporting live.
So
from the Rennie.
You are in the hotel that is, or the hotel connected to the convention center. So now I've never been here. So where you are right now, where is the event space for Brick World?
I have no clue because we have no clue. This hotel is huge, right? Okay. We're on floor 5, and I'm absolutely petrified. I'm petrified of heights, so I can't really look over there. I don't mind tipping the phone. It goes up to floor 16.
Ooh,
so
okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a roof there. And we're on 5. So where the hell are the other 10 floors? That's what I want to know. But yeah, so we literally got picked up by Ken. Shout out to Ken from Brick Dynasty over on YouTube and Instagram. We got picked up by him and his lovely wife Tanya from the airport. Me and my other two co-hosts, Whittaky and Slurpee. So obviously shout out to those two guys as well. And we got picked up from the airport, which was a bit of a mess because we all came out in different places. We all thought we were going to be coming out roughly the same place. We got dropped at the hotel. We checked in. All the lads who we kind of, that we knew, or some of the lads that we knew were kind of in the reception. And we were like, right, let's come drop our bags and we'll come down and chat with you. And as we came went to our room, literally dumped everything, had a freshen up, 10 minutes, came back down. And as we were getting into the reception, they were all getting up and kind of going. And we're like, what's going on? And like, we're going to go to Walmart, we're going to go to Target. And I'm like, well, we've just got here. The only people we know, it seems stupid not to go with them. So we did. And of course, the three of us were like, we're starving, we need to go and get some food. And they're like, yeah, we're going to go for food later. I'm like, right, great. But it turns out they're going for food like during this show. So I was just like, so it's been one thing after another. But like I said, I like these kind of situations, these pressure situations where we can work something out. So we've got to resolve. And again, shout out to you, Keith, because you did contact me just before this and say, look, we can change things. So I said, no, I'm fully committed, just like you are to your followers,
and I appreciate
to go
that.
on time, because that's the time we've said.
Yep.
But I've managed to organise a lift for about 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So that means is that hi guys, I can stay on till about sort of 5 to 10 to 8.
Fair enough.
And then zip up to the room, drop off these bits and pieces I'm holding.
Awesome.
And then still go for food. And yeah, so we're going to head down to the lobby now via the lifts.
Yep.
And then hopefully we can set up somewhere down there where I can actually see you.
All right, that works.
Conversate with you a little bit better.
Well, then I'll just do some general questions about your trip here. So, how many times have you been to Brick World now?
This makes one.
Oh, I thought you were there before.
No, this is my first time.
So when we were on the live a couple months ago, I thought like you guys went to the medieval times, and like I thought you had been here before.
No, I may have been talking about going to medieval times as my quote unquote bachelor party. And I've probably because that's one of the main reasons I'm here. We were supposed to have been getting married in August, so this was my excuse for a bachelor party.
I gotcha.
I haven't really planned it or organised it. It's just a case of one of the nights we were all out. And of course, this obviously that invitation extends to you as well. One of the nights we're out, we'll just kind of say, well, this is my bachelor party or a stag do if you're from the UK.
Well, I appreciate the invitation.
No, literally everybody's invited. And the reason I think we said that, and maybe where the confusion is because we've kind of talked about that's the only place that will take a very large group. I'm not suggesting that, I know everybody and everyone's going to want to come. Yeah. But of course, if everybody decides to take me up on the invite that I've sent them, there will be about 70 of us, in which case,
well, so
many old times can take us. So.
I got confused because we had talked about medieval times. Then we were talking about, the steakhouse and the ranch dressing. Do you remember that? We were talking about Longhorn Steakhouse. Right.
Yeah. So that was when you were on the Cold Fusion stream that I did, and the other guy, pretty much every other guy who was on the screen at the time had been. So they were talking about what we're going to do while we're out there, and I was as kind of new to this conversation as you were, really.
Okay, but, I gotcha. Okay.
But we've been, within the kind of sub community that I kind of belong to, if you like, within the community, we talk about Brick World all the time because we've known we're going since August last year when the tickets went on sale. So every day has been. There's always an excuse to talk about it. So this is kind of the pinnacle of like a year's worth of, not a year, about 10 months worth of sort of plan and excitement and hype. And this is it. And now we're here, and I'm like literally sweating from not being able to take on everything that's going on. There you go, Brick Dynasty. Brick Dynasty.
I apologize. What's up, Ken? I apologize tossing this at you here because I thought you had been here before, and so that's why I was just like, yeah, he knows what he's doing. And
no, I'm an absolute noob. So yeah, if you want to swap me out for somebody else who's got experience, mate, then that's fair enough.
No. Hey, this is my first time too, so that makes it even better. All right, so obviously, you would you say you're more prevalent on the YouTube scene, correct?
It's difficult to say because YouTube, in terms of where most of my content is, in terms of length, yes, because I generally only do live, long form content, but I do use Instagram and no other social media to promote it. I don't even use YouTube to promote it because you can do like polls and you can do like community updates, and I'm terrible at that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
So I find I get the best traction from Instagram. And when you look through most of my Instagram, the majority of it is advertisement for an upcoming show or a past show. And then within that, it's mostly still images. There's not a lot of kind of videos and me blogging and reviewing sets, which is why, and I've kind of worked this out quite quickly, because I joined the community along with another guy who I know, and around about the same time, and he's like on a sword. Never shows his face, and his following is like massive. And I know it's not all about the following. But he doesn't have a YouTube channel or anything like that. But he's like got, like, I don't know, thousands of followers now. I'm still stuck like under 1,000. But it's because you look through his content and it's Lego. And that's what people in this community want to see. They don't want to see an advert for me advertising a show that's going to talk about Lego. Do you see what I mean?
I get you.
And that's so if I wanted to grow it and I was that passionate about it being like, oh, I need so and so followers or whatever, because I'm not really that driven by that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if I really wanted to improve it and grow it, then I would need to kind of pepper some of those adverts for the show with look at this set, look at this collection, this kind of thing.
Yep.
An example of that is that recently I built the Republic frigate. I say recently, it was a couple of months ago.
Okay.
And I just took a shot of it on the arm of my sofa, built, really poor image, poor quality, grainy. The set was a used set, so it wasn't in bad condition, but it wasn't like brand new out of the box.
Yeah.
And it got more likes than anything else, more likes than anything else I've ever shared, because it's Lego and that's what people want to see. So, so that's kind of I wouldn't say that's my story, but that's kind of, to answer your question, yes, YouTube is probably where, you see content, you get to know me, you get to know about like what my channel, what I'm interested in. That's where you'll find the information. But Instagram is more of a kind of walk by poster for that show.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So now, because so I do post these on YouTube as well, and I like to link YouTube accounts. So for anybody rewatching, I just want to make sure I have you correct on YouTube. So you are at Cool Han Luke Brick. So it's at cool-han-luke at cool-han-luke-bricks on YouTube. And then people can find you on Instagram. Same thing, but underscores instead of dashes. So cool_Han_Luke_bricks. So that's how you can find this lovely person here. We're in the bearded guild here together. So that's Lego World.
World. Yeah, I'm not actually part of that, because that is actually a thing, right? To be like,
all you have to do is buy the shirt, and then they will randomly accept you into the. So I just bought my shirt. So the Bearded Builders Guild, you get the shirt, and you can tell anybody who's not an actual member, just has the skull head with the beard. There's no words. They will randomly pick you to become an actual member, and then you get a shirt that actually has the words underneath that says Bearded Builders Guild.
Okay.
So I just picked my shirt up. I plan on wearing it. I did talk to Cody, the owner of BBG, and he's not. I don't think he's going to be at Brick World, but he was trying to get me out to Brick Slopes out in Utah later this year. And I was just like, man, I can't do 2 conventions right now. And like we're going on vacation around that time. And but anyways, so what I wanted to, a couple of things I wanted to get in to talk about you, because I've been following you. You've been following me for a while now. I was on one of your live streams, but obviously I missed the section that I thought I knew that you had been places. So just want to give people the opportunity to get to know you, because they see your lives on YouTube. They can go rewatch it. They see what you post. But I always like to give people the opportunity to actually get to know you as a person, because I feel like that helps people connect more to you and all the content you share then. So, so obviously, as I mentioned earlier, you came into Chicago today. Now, for those of you that don't know, you are not in the United States. So you want to share, where are you from?
I'm from the beautiful land of our fathers, known as Cymru, or Wales.
Yep.
It's the smallest and probably the most forgotten element of the UK.
Okay.
And people do get a bit confused. Great Britain, UK, Wales. The UK is made up of Ireland, Scotland, England, and Wales. Okay. Wales being the smallest and the most forgotten.
Sure.
You say you're from Scotland when you go to pretty much anywhere. They know that. Same with Ireland, England. They don't realise Wales is actually a country. Okay. So it's where Anthony Hopkins is from. It's where Luke Evans is from.
Okay.
There's plenty of famous people who are from here. Tom Jones, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Wow.
I could name hundreds, but like nobody's interested in that. The point is I'm from the what we call the land of the dragon, because our flag was named. I haven't got one with me as well, which is really frustrating. But the country's flag was named as the best flag in the world.
Wow. Okay.
And it was voted for. So it's basically so apparently the conversation went like this, right? When they were trying to decide with flags,
Sure.
England were like, right, we're gonna have white with a red cross. Scotland, right, we're gonna have blue with a white cross.
Yeah.
Going this way,
Okay.
as opposed to this way. Ireland, right, we're gonna have 3 colours. We're gonna have orange, white, and green. Wales, what are you gonna have? We're gonna have a huge red F-off dragon. So that's what we've got. So if you've ever seen the flag, it's top half white, bottom half green, huge red dragon.
I'm going to go check that out because I don't think I've seen that. So basically what you're saying is it might be the most forgotten, but it's definitely the fiercest of the countries over there in the UK. So
absolutely. So we've got our own language. So Dim Siarad Cymraeg. So I don't speak Welsh.
Okay.
Fluently enough. Like I can say Dim Siarad Cymraeg, which means I don't speak Welsh in Welsh. But and I can get along with people. I can say hello, I can say goodbye, and I can say shwmai, diawn, and whatever else I need to say to get by with the language in the frame of work I'm in. But where I live, the Welsh language is spoken quite quite regularly. So what that basically means is that it's a Celtic language. And it's quite a difficult language to learn, but it's even more difficult to read. So if you were to see it read, so for example, if you come to the UK, if you come to Wales, all of our signage, road signs, pedestrian signs, anything, go to a train station, a bus stop, a shop, it's always Welsh first, English underneath.
Oh, interesting.
Which a lot of people do find that strange. So, but there's also fun things that happen. So, for example, when Asda, which is a superstore, like a Walmart, if you like, but in the UK, they built a brand new store in the capital of our country, which is Cardiff.
Okay.
And they had somebody come and translate some of the signage and stuff for the store, because that's generally what they do. If you haven't got someone who speaks Welsh, they kind of made some mistakes. When you went into when you went into the store when it was first built, normally you would have a section in a superstore, a food store, that says beer, wine, and spirits. Okay. Which is like where you get your booze, right?
Yeah.
But when it was Welsh people were going in and reading beer, wine, and ghosts, because of course the Welsh word for ghosts and spirits are different, but obviously they translated it wrong. So, and it was just little things like that which were quite funny. But yeah, I can't show you anything now. But if you were to see the Welsh language written, people would be like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's a little bit about where I'm from. I was born in a place called Barry. Anybody who's ever watched Gavin and Stacey will know where that is. Barry Island, not far, a stone's throw away from Cardiff, which is the capital. So I'm more of a city or a town accent.
Yeah. Okay.
If you can believe that there's probably about 5 or 6 more, maybe more versions of the dialect around Wales, and that's just the Welsh, that's just the English speaking. So I've moved for my work all over Wales. I've moved house like 13 times. I've lived in about 8 or 9 different places, because a couple of those I moved within the same place. And I've worked in probably 55, 60 places around Wales and England. So I've got, for my work, I traveled around quite a bit.
Sure.
But yeah, so like I've worked in retail my whole life. Coming up to, is it 30 years? It'll be 30 years next year. I'll have been working in retail.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, so I'm exposed to customers on a daily basis, and that's not to say I don't get frustrated with them, but it does make it a little bit easy to try and get back to a point. It does make it a little bit easy coming into a community like this.
Sure.
And a small example is that we were coming down the lift earlier, me and my 2 other co-hosts and roommates, and they were kind of a little bit nervous to just kind of turn around and there's a crowd of people here who we've only ever met online. Me, I flourished in that because it was like kind of thing, because I, not just because of the work I do, but it does help when you're customer facing. And again, the whole thinking on the feet thing, like I described earlier from up on the balcony. So that's kind of, in essence, what drew me into this, into this community, and to want to do a chat show, because I think that's what suits me better.
Yep.
I've if I had to sit there and talk about Lego, and I forget names, I forget set numbers, and I don't retain information like that. But when it comes to putting somebody in front of me who I don't know or I know a little bit about, and being able to build a conversation, have a conversation, hold a conversation, particularly around Lego or Star Wars, then that is me in my element. So that's why for me, when I first joined the community, I was like, right, do I want to make stupid memes? Do I want to make, not stupid memes, silly memes? I shouldn't say stupid because it is entertaining. But
yeah, I know what you mean.
But do I want to do that? Do I want to do reviews? Do I want to do, there's a lot of stuff out that's being done, and doing a chat show isn't something that wasn't being done. But a subgroup, Lego, Star Wars, the kind of the boys type chat show for the UK didn't exist. Yeah. There's plenty of great UK Lego chat shows out there, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But they're a bit more broad in what they cover, whereas we kind of tend to focus on, Star Wars, but we do try to branch out into other things as well.
Sure.
And for me, it was like, right, how can my skills as a person and my abilities and my natural sort of prowess, if you like, how can I use that to my advantage in this community and be useful in the community? Yep. That's what I think of. Yep. I don't think of how many views am I going to get? Am I going to be able to earn money off YouTube in the future? Because that's probably never going to happen. What I do want to do is I want to be able to be useful, and I want to create something that people are going to get value from.
Yep.
And that was always my intention. I feel like that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it is growing, and it is slow, and it is, it has to be organic. But we've gone from having sort of, 5 or 10 people who watch the show to 20, 25. And those aren't big numbers, but 25 people who will stay throughout the show.
Yeah.
And it's the same people, and they'll commit, and it's slowly growing, and it's got to the point now where I come here and I walked into the reception, and I was made a beeline for the desk because I wanted to check in before starting, and they just hear cool on, and they came over and they got a couple of them chatted to us, and it's like, I feel like I'm of use in this community. I feel like I'm giving something back, if that makes sense. So I don't know whether that really answered your question. I kind of went off.
No. That's See, that's what I want. I want people to get to know you. So actually, I will reach out to you, or I'll just talk to you at Brick World, because I'm sure you saw the campaign I have that it will be starting in July, correct?
I did, but because of the fact that I was kind of packing at the time, I can't honestly say that I took too much of it in.
Yeah, nope, that's okay.
But
when you have a minute, I'll have stuff with me, but take a look at it, because there's actually a branch of the nonprofit that they actually have a branch over in the UK. I would love to chat with you about that. So we can do that if we have a few minutes, over the weekend. So
100%.
Right. So then, as far as growing up, now, were you an only child, or did you have any siblings, or do you have any siblings?
So I've got an older brother and I've got a younger sister.
Okay.
So my brother still lives with his wife. And a shout out to, I'll give a quick shout. They won't be watching this, but if they watch it back, shout out to my sister-in-law Becky, who recently lost her father, sadly.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
and
that.
they also lost their dog. They've had for like 12 years, which is a lifetime for a dog.
Yeah,
in the same week.
In the
same week. And unfortunately, the funeral was tomorrow, and I wasn't able to come because I was already coming here. I know her father quite well, but I probably didn't know him well enough to cancel a holiday. So I know that sounds awful, but I know she wouldn't have expected me to do that. But just a quick shout out to them, because obviously they're going through quite a tumultuous time at the moment. But so my brother lives local to where we grew up. He's never really moved away from that area. No, we got some stream invaders.
Hi.
Yo, what's happening?
How are you guys?
Do you guys know Keith from
Happy Brick
Together, Click Together?
How are you guys?
I think so. Pretty sure. I think it was here last
What's going on?
No, he's coming to Brick World, but it'll be his first time as well.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
Yep.
So we decided to interview somebody who's got lots of experience in Brick World. Or none at all.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we're actually live as well. So.
All right, we'll do your thing.
Hey, we'll see
We're
you.
heading over.
We'll see you in a couple of days.
We're going
all right.
Yeah, I'm going to. Ken's picking me up, and he's going to drop us over there later. So see you guys then.
By the way, where are the glasses? Where are the iconic glasses?
The what?
Glasses. Your sunglasses. Where's the sunglasses at? As he
I don't know what you mean.
I tell you.
Yeah, they were here, but I didn't know what the lighting was going to be like down here, so I totally forgot. So thanks for reminding me. But
For a second there,
sorry,
I thought I
got
had an
sidetracked.
imposter on the show there. That's why I was a little confused there.
Yeah, I do look a lot better with sunglasses on. My eyes are really too close together. But no. So what were we talking about? Shout out to Mavericks as well.
Siblings, your siblings there.
Yeah. So my brothers stayed close. My sister did the complete opposite because I moved away relatively young for work.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I say moved away. I've stayed in Wales, but I've kind of moved away. My sister kind of had to one up that, and so she now lives out in Sweden.
Oh, wow.
With her partner.
Okay.
So I don't really get to see her very much.
Sure.
She's just kind of like doesn't come back to the UK very much, if at all. So, but yeah. So I'm assuming your question was going to lead to like, you know, how I grew up with Lego.
Wow.
Or am I jumping ahead of the thing?
No, you're good because so that's what I was curious about. So like when you have siblings, so my question was like, what did you guys do? Like, were you in a close enough gap where you guys hung out together, or did you have like a bigger age gap between the two of you?
We were very close, particularly me and my brother, because it's only like 20 months between me and my brother.
Oh, okay.
So we were very close as kids. And we were very close. Even my sister. I think me and my sister more so because the age gap was obviously less.
Yeah.
You know, my brother had kind of left school by the time, like left high school by the time my sister joined high school, kind of thing, and that kind of thing. But no. So I always had a good relationship with them. Whereas now, you know, I don't want to use the word estranged, but I don't have the closest connection with my sister as I would like. My brother kind of a little bit, you know, up and down. But considering we grew up so close, it's kind of a shame that we didn't kind of maintain that.
Sure.
But life goes on. You find new friends. You find, you know, you move away. You kind of just, you know, things happen, you know, and that's just the way it is. So
yeah.
But
So the Star Wars.
Sorry,
the Star Wars thing here. So what got you in the Star Wars?
Honestly, Betamax. In 1984, my uncle Robert bought the Betamax versions, which I don't know if you guys had Betamax out there in the 80s. So at the time, there was a war going on. There was VHS, there was Philips 2000 and Betamax. And there were various forms of media. Sure. Now, Philips 2000 just kind of disappeared. VHS, as you know, became the dominant thing.
Yep.
But Betamax at one point was there. I don't know what the real point of me explaining that is, other than the fact that I'm just explaining what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he had a Betamax player, and I think the point of the story is that he bought these Betamax, videos, if you like, of the Star Wars series, and if it wasn't for the fact they were Betamax, he would have probably let me take them home and watch them even more than I did. Sure. But of course, we didn't have a Betamax player. We had a VHS player, so they were only good on that. But the story is that whenever I went over to my nan's, which is generally once a week, I would just want to watch these Star Wars films. I was just obsessed with them. Yep. From the age of about four. And then I remember watching them over and over again. I had all the figures, I had the toys. I wouldn't say I had all the figures. I had figures, I had the toys, everything you could think of, you know, the bedspread and whatever else you would have as a kid. And Star Wars has just been that for me. I've never had, people talk about having a dark age with Lego. Yeah. I've never had a dark age with Star Wars. I would say I've had a dark age with Lego, but I don't know whether you'd really call it a dark age because I just kind of grew out of Lego. And of course, there was no Lego Star Wars when I was a child. Yep. Lego Star Wars didn't launch until 1999, at which point I was like 19 years old. So, so yeah, Star Wars fan my whole life, never stopped. Yep. And got bullied for it. Even when I was first started work, I was sort of 16, 17, and I was going to like conventions. I met Jeremy Bullock. I met, which was the original Boba Fett. I met Kenny Baker, who's in outside R2D2. Met them and got a photo with them, a conversation with them, and a signed photo for £5.
Wow! Holy cow! Yeah.
And the reason it was, and both of those guys are dead now, so obviously that's worth even more. But it was because it was at that point where Star Wars was kind of dead and buried, and they hadn't released the special editions yet, and there was no prequels, so it was kind of like, that's a sweet spot for me, I
Sure.
guess. But they were still doing these conventions, and people were kind of like, "Who's this guy? Oh, he was in that movie like 20 years ago," kind of thing, or whatever it was at the time. That kind of thing. So it was great for me. But of course, everybody who found out that I'd gone to do this stuff in work, I was practically an adult at the time. I got bullied kind of mercilessly for it, because it was like, "Oh, you're going and seeing these people from a kid's movie," and I'm just like. Until I found another guy who worked for the same company, who turns out he was like a closet Star Wars fan. So we were just, fanboyed out together.
Yeah.
And he really helped me. So shout out to Tim. He really helped me because he just made me feel at ease with it.
Sure.
He was a bit more kind of standoffish with the other guys. We wouldn't let them. He would be like, "Yeah, I like Star Wars."
Yeah.
So it was like, and when I said he was a closet Star Wars fan, I didn't know he was one.
Yeah.
But he wasn't ashamed of it.
Yeah.
So he just didn't broadcast it.
Sure.
But so we started going to these conventions, and then of course the sequels came out. The special editions came out, and I was buying like the Power of the Force line. Then the prequels came out, and it was just like, wow, blown away.
Yeah.
Now my first experience with Star Wars Lego was when the first sort of wave came out in 1999, and I bought one set, which was the Vulture Droid.
Okay.
It had like 30 or 40 pieces or whatever it was. And I remember buying one and thinking, wow, this is Lego, like what I used to have as a kid. But, I'm not going to open it. And it just went into storage when I started moving around.
Okay.
And I didn't open it until 20 years later when I'd really gotten back into Lego.
Yeah.
But in terms of my story with Lego, I loved Lego as a kid. My parents really encouraged it. My parents they got rid of a lot of our stuff as kids, even including Star Wars figures and stuff. Never got rid of the Lego because my parents understood. They always bought us decent stuff. They didn't have a lot of money, but when they did spend money, they bought quality stuff. And they were sold on Lego. My parents used to do the Lego with us. They always encouraged us, and we kept the Lego. So I've still got that same Lego
that's awesome.
that I played with as a kid.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay.
And some of the sets I had, because I've still got the instruction booklets for a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, they're battered and they're tatty. Yeah. But I've looked up the dates of when these sets came out. So I've effectively got instruction booklets for sets from 1977 because they bought them from my brother.
Okay.
And of course, at that point, Lego sets would stay on the shelves a lot longer because there wasn't as many. So when my brother was born in like 1979, they must have bought him some like baby Lego sets. They was called Basic then.
Yeah.
So they bought some of those sets for him. And when I look back at the kind of set numbers, the set numbers are like 52.
Yeah.
500, 3 digits kind of thing, or 2 digits. And they were like, released in 1977. And it's like, wow. And I've never gotten rid of any of that Lego.
Okay.
Still got it now. And I think, that's quite important to me. Yes, I can use that stuff necessarily in a mock because it's not in the best of condition after all these years. But always had a passion for Star Wars. But Lego, there was a time where I'm like, right, this got packed away and it never got unpacked again. Yeah. Until I started getting back into Lego. And my parents were like, well, we've still got that drum of Lego from when you're kids. Why don't you just have that? And I'm
that's
amazing.
Nice.
Tipped it out, dug through it, and trying to brought back some memories. But so that's childhood going into adulthood as Lego. I don't want to jump ahead, so I don't know what's the next question.
No. So what would you say, like right now? Obviously, I'm assuming you do buy actual Lego sets, but do you enjoy doing the mock side of things too?
I dabble a little bit, but it's kind of limited. So I started getting back into Lego when the Solo movie was out, and I saw that kind of wave of sets that came out then. And I was like, right, I'm going to try and and I ended up getting like all about one of those sets, which that set I'm looking for, I'm on the lookout for at Brickworld. But that aside, I quite early on, before I knew mock was a thing, I bought a couple of sets and I was like, I feel like I could make this a little bit better using some spare pieces.
Yeah, sure.
And I did that with a few sets. And it was only like a lot longer afterwards that I found out that mock was a thing and what mock actually was.
Yep.
So I've had a connection with it, but my sort of collection style is more like buy a set, at the moment, probably put it in the backlog, but build it and just kind of have some fun with it, maybe build it on a live stream. But to start with, I was just kind of buying bits and pieces, and I've always been quite strict about what I buy. So I don't buy UCS sets because I just can't justify the cost, and I would always rather have 10 smaller sets than one big set. But I can't. It's not that I wouldn't spend that amount of money, because I do spend that on Lego. Just I would spend it on a variety of Lego rather than one set. But I haven't got the space to display it, so I just can't justify having it. And then on top of that, we've got so things like brickheads. Never been a fan of those. Don't really buy the microfighters. You know, I didn't buy the buildable figures when they were still kicking around. So there's a lot of things that I've kind of avoided. So it makes it a bit more streamlined for me. And lately, I think I've probably focused more on dioramas. So if I had to give up everything, and, you know, I lost my job, or, you know, let's just say I took a huge pay cut or whatever it might be, I think I would just do dioramas and MIDI scale ships, because I think they're my two favorite sub themes that I like. But I do use, to answer the question, I do use Rebrickable quite a lot. Once I found that website, I was like, oh my God, I'm in heaven. And I spend more time on there than I would on the Lego website, 100%. But I do kind of keep it, I mean, they're other people's mocks, so I don't know whether you can even call them mocks, but I do enjoy doing that. And I'm playing with a couple of things. I've never done anything grand scale. But in terms of my own stuff, I try to be what I call more of a challenge. So, for example, I saw a ship when I was reading a graphic novel, IG-88 ship. And I saw the ship and I was like, oh, this has got a similar cockpit to the Millennium Falcon. And I had the Millennium Falcon play set that came out, I think 2019, that version, whatever that version was, taken apart at the time. And I thought, I'm going to see if I can build it just using the parts for that set. And I'm like 90% done.
Nice.
And I got to be honest, that, like, I just want to blow my own horn. Like, obviously, I can't show it, but I've built the set. And when I've shown on the stream, like, these are the pictures that I've taken my reference from the comic books and shown the set built, although not finished. People are like, wow, that's really good. You've built that from Millennium Falcon. It's a completely different shape. So I do like stuff like that. I do kind of modify. So I, like the all of my Republic ships, I changed out the color for like green and yellow as opposed to like the red. So I've got, like, you know, an Arc 170 that's kind of got green and yellow accents as opposed to, and the idea was that I like Commander Doom as a clone sort of commander. So I just kind of called it the Doom Squadron and just kind of created this kind of thing. I like doing that kind of stuff. And then, just, you know, sometimes I'll take a set and I'll be like, right, can I just build something else out of this? Because I don't particularly enjoy this set. It wasn't a great set. I'm going to try and build something else out of it, like a speeder or something like that. And I do that stuff for fun. Probably should and would get a lot more gravitas out of it if I was to kind of film myself doing it. But that kind of stuff, I think, it's more of a hobby to me. But I think if that, you know, that stuff is kind of niche. Like, there's not a lot of people who are kind of filming themselves being like, right, this is the set I got, guys. I'm going to take it apart and see if I can build something else.
I agree.
I think there'd be people who would enjoy. I would enjoy seeing that. But for me, it's on the line of, would I stop enjoying it then because I'm more worried about it being content and editing? And
I see what you mean.
You know, so that's always the challenge for me is, you know, do I want to carry on enjoying doing this? Do I want to kind of ruin that, or not ruin it, but potentially change it or adjust it by then just worrying about it being content? So again, that's why the live stream is more natural for me, because I can talk, I can chat, feel a bit more free and relaxed. And there's no huge commitment there that I can sort of, you know, that I can do quite easily. You know what I mean? So I feel like if I was doing, like I say, a regular mock series, or I feel like to get traction, you'd have to be committed to it and you'd have to do it regularly. And I just wouldn't have the time to do something like that. So
now you and I, we're like two peas in a pod in that aspect, because I'm not one that likes to edit. Like, I just like being myself, and that's why I do lives, is because I don't want to cut stuff up, and like I don't have the time for that, first of all. But and not saying edited stuff isn't real, it is, but I just don't have that time to do that. And so I'm with you. Just do the live and
I think I think there's a gap in the market for people wanting to see raw material. And I'm not saying there's anything, because I love, like, Firebird Bricks. I literally just met Caleb out there. I don't know if you know Firebird Bricks. He specializes in mechs, I think. just met him as we were coming back from the shop, and he was a quick hello. I don't think he knew I was coming to Brick World, so he was kind of like, oh, you're here. And it was like great because he's like almost like meeting a hero, right? And this guy's like a lot younger than me, so it kind of sounds weird to say that, but I've liked his stuff, and his stuff is like super edited to the max. Like he spends a lot of time. He puts out a video, I wouldn't say rarely, but he doesn't like bang out videos, but he takes time and does them, and the quality, the sound, the picture is
perfect,
and I enjoy that.
Yep.
But I still think there's a gap in the market or a gap in the community for just being like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing today, and being a bit more like rough and tumble, and this is what, look, I can't find this, and being a bit more, even within the building aspect of it. There's definitely a gap in the market for what we're doing now, what you do, what I do, because it works. We know it works.
Yep.
But I think there's a gap in the market that's relatively untapped, where I could do like something like this now, but without obviously necessarily you being there, but and me showing what I'm building and being like, well, I'm just building this. I'm just going to try and build this mock, and I'm just going to try and build something else out of it.
100%.
Chatting to the stream.
Yep.
And I think there's a gap in the market for that, and I just can't find, although it kind of defeats the object of what I'm trying to say in that it's got to be natural, I can't find the right way to do it, because I want to do it right if I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So the only planning that would go into it is how I'm going to present it, when am I going to do it, what's it going to look like, how long is it going to go. Once I've got all that decided and sorted, then I can just churn it out, and then it would be natural, So
I think that's a great a great option, because I can't think of anybody that does anything like it.
And like I said, it's not to say that when I say a gap, it's not to say there's nobody doing that kind of thing. But my thing has always been to try and have some originality, not to try to sort of copy people or cut and paste. It's difficult to do that in this community because everybody, like, you see these people who are doing fantastic with their show or their live streams or whatever, but they weren't the first to do it. So the idea was never original. And I know they don't care about that.
Sure.
But I always think to myself, I want to do something original. So yes, I've got a chat show that talks about Lego and Star Wars. Are we the first people to do that? No. But how can I make it different? At least. So the bone structure is the same as what a million people are doing. But the content of that, making it a little bit different to us, like we've got our own intro music that we wrote the lyrics for, talks about us. We've got our own kind of super chats that we've created, and those super chats are based on the fans of the show. So it's kind of like making light of them, making jokes out of them as people.
Yeah, sure.
And you'd have to tune into the show for that to make sense. Creating our own kind of symbolism within the community, our own kind of our own kind of side shows and sections within the show, and all that's come naturally over time. But people want it now, and they're like, let's see this, let's do, when are you going to do this? And making hashtag quotes and things like that have come from the show, and that's the kind of stuff I like to see, and that's where the originality is. And you can't plan that stuff. You can't sit down and write that stuff. It just has to come from repetition and fans feeding into it. You say something. Like I found a snapshot. I don't know where it came from, but it's like a bag of cheese that says, and they're basically plastic bags that you can get to put your cheese in to keep it fresh. Sure. But the writing on the packaging says "Stay fresh cheese bags," but I read it as "Stay fresh cheese bags," almost like a. Yeah. So I posted that at the end of our chat. So I put like, so thanks everybody for tuning in. Stay fresh cheese bags. Threw the picture up. Nobody really caught on to it. Nobody was really kind of. So we just kind of, I do throw it up now and then as a joke, but generally it didn't work. It fell flat on its face. It didn't work. The other thing is we've done, like I created that little ice cube guy with the sunglasses. It's taken off. People like it. They enjoy it. It's on the merch now as well, on the sleeve of the merch, which I'm sad I'm not actually wearing one of those at the moment. But that people like it. They've connected with it. They like it. They think it's it's on trend for what we talk about. And that's it. It's worked, but it was all trial and error, accident, that kind of thing. And I guess all of this comes back to what I've wanted to do from the very beginning, which was create an identity and be of use to somebody. If somebody's had a shit day at work or a shit week at work or a bad time, and we do get this feedback. This is honest that we get this feedback that I had a crap week at work, but sitting down and watching your show at the end of the week or on the Sunday night really cheered me up, and it's really kind of great. And the other thing I think that's worth talking about when it comes to the show that we do on Sunday nights, 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Just want to give that a quick shameless plug.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah. Hey, that's my line. Shameless plug. I use that all the time now. Maybe I got that from you.
I don't even know where I heard that, but possibly. But on the show, with the show, I've looked at the analytics of it, and based on the amount of people who've watched, almost everybody. I'm not the Rain Man. I can't do the maths, but almost everybody who watches the show watches it in its entirety. Okay. If not then at some point.
Yeah, okay.
And the analytics point to that because the analytics for the show, it's like, I don't know, 25 people are watching. It went 4 hours and we got 100 hours of watch time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, as an example, like, so it's like, right, well, all 25 people who watched it all.
Sure.
Not exactly, but that kind of thing, like, so yeah, I don't know whether that answered the question.
Yeah, no. I just want to check because you need to wrap up because you need to head out to eat?
Yeah, so I'm getting picked up here at 8 o'clock, and I need a couple of minutes just to drop everything off to the room. But I just want to make sure I've answered your questions because I know that I can get a bit carried away.
We're going to go, I'm going to part 2 at a later date. We're going to do a part 2 because I threw this at you and there's a lot going on today. So that was unfair to you. So I'll say stay tuned for part 2 at a later date. Real quick, I want to give, again, a couple shout outs for you. Make sure anybody rewatching this, go subscribe on YouTube. So again, it is Coolhan Luke Bricks on YouTube, also on Instagram. Only difference is on YouTube, it's dashes. On Instagram, it's underscores. If you go on his page as well, he does have his merch link as well. Obviously, got some good apparel up there. I'm going to order something because I need a shirt so I can represent over here in the U.S.
Nice.
Because, when we're in, and that I would say that's the one thing I feel bad because you're I think you're 5 hours ahead of me. It's always just like the time makes it harder for me and for you, vice versa. Because usually when I'm doing stuff, you're asleep. So it makes it a little harder.
That's right. But no, I just want to say a quick thank you for the charity, pitching on the charity stream and giving us some Instagram presence for that stream as well.
Sure.
But also a quick shout out to Matt Black Bricks, aka Stud Lake Cody, who I met today for the first time in person. Who is the guy who runs the website that does the merch. You'll also find merch on there. You'll also find merch on the same site for Ostif's Bricks and the Brick Connection. And you'll also find merch on there for ACOB, a couple of brickheads, if anybody knows who they are.
Yep.
So all on the same site. 4 different colors of a shirt, and possibly, depending on how well they sell, more merch soon to come.
Nice. Awesome.
We'll see.
Okay. Awesome.
But, what I was going to say though, Keith, is I know you're going to be here from Friday, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Have you got anything planned content-wise while you're here?
I have nothing planned pretty much at all other than we're trying to do the Bricklink designer announcement, the Series 8, and the Bricked app on Saturday. So that's like one thing Friday morning and then something Saturday night. That's about it. So
because I was just going to say, you don't have to plan it now. Obviously, go away and think about it. But if we want to do a part 2 and do it from Brickworld, with the two of us here, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, all right.
We can do like a kind of shy time is my time jobby and be like
sitting on the stoop.
Do it. Sitting on the stoop of Brickworld. We can give that a go. We can plan something out. And obviously, I feel like because I threw a wobbler back at you for tonight.
No.
At least try to.
I threw this at you, so.
But no, if we can get together, if we get together and we meet and have a chat, great. But if you want to try and bang something out, an episode 2, or even if it's not this, the Bricks and Beyond, it's something else, or even if it's something we can put it on both channels, we can sort something out anyway. I'm sure. Right.
Well, like I said, I have something to talk to you about for the my charity stream, because you being somewhere else, I think I have an idea. So I'll touch base with you when I get in on Friday. And then, I look forward to meeting you in person. Exciting stuff, getting to actually interact with people. But I know you've had a long day, so go get something to eat so you don't pass out. And then I guess I'll see you on Friday.
So I got one question for you, and I meant to ask. Am I supposed to be asking questions back, or is it just?
No. So
Is it that kind of interview?
This is all about you. But if you have something to
Right.
ask, I won't deny you your
So,
opportunity.
so how does it feel being the father of such an amazing YouTuber?
Did you see the face reveal video?
I didn't. I am so backed up because I've been so busy trying to pack and do everything else. So I'm sorry
hang
I've
on,
missed it, but
hold on. I gotta find it. I have a joke and it's autographed for you from Bryce to give to you at Brickworld. So
amazing. Well, tell him I've got a sig fig and a little goodie pack for him
Awesome.
that I'm making up here.
Awesome. Perfect.
And you'll get to see the flag then because I've got printed 2x4 tiles with the Welsh flag.
Awesome.
Made by BBG Forge.
Oh, look at that. Okay. Shout out BBG Forge as well.
And a shout out to PNG for getting them for me, PNG Bricks.
The
connections are everywhere. It's like a
we're all tied together.
It's like a spider's web up in here. But
all right, brother.
But no, I just want to say thanks for having me on the show. Sorry that it didn't work out as well as it did. Is your son? I don't want to say the name, but is your son coming out with you or
no? He is not this time. I didn't think he could make it. The
right.
3 days.
Yeah, I did already ask.
Yeah.
No, I did already ask.
He at first wanted to, but then when he realized what I'd be doing the whole time, he was just like, not my cup of tea. So, but all that matters is I have your joke and it's autographed for you, so you'll get that from him. So.
Well, I appreciate that, Brick Bear, and look forward to seeing more content.
I will pass that along to him, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks, mate. Take care.
All right, we'll see you. Have a good one. All right, bye.
Bye, chat.
See you guys.
Cheers. Bye.